Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Triangle BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a small business success story from Triangle BNI. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International. It's the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in Central North Carolina is called the Triangle. It's Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill have 29 chapters going strong, 6 core chapters working to get to that number where they can become a full chapter, and almost 600 members in Triangle BNI helping each other each week grow the business. So if you or someone you know is looking to start a business or grow a business, we'd love to have you come visit one of our chapters. And to find out where the chapters are and when they meet, you can go to trianglebni.com. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a drop-down box called Find a Chapter, and click on that, and it'll give you the options of clicking on a day, a part of the city, a part of the day that you want to meet, whether it's Wake Forest or Garner or Raleigh or Cary. Most of the chapters are in the morning or at lunchtime, and you can find out what works for you. Please come visit because there's always wonderful stories, good people to meet. And one of the neat advantages of live television is you have a lot of fun. One of the downsides to live television is when there's weather and a wreck on the Beltline, your guest gets a little delayed. So our guest this week is Patrick Griffin with 1-800 Water Damage. He'll be here in just a couple minutes. But in the meantime, we'll chat about a couple things on why BNI is so good. As most of you know, I'm a consulting director for BNI, so I help chapters, love BNI. My brother and I have started 2 businesses in BNI. But I always like to tell the business applications of BNI. So if you're in BNI, you either own or run or are part of a business that's trying to grow, whether you're with a national company or a local company, you still have your numbers to hit. So you're always coming in with goals, wanting referrals to grow your business. One of the things we talk about in BNI is the power of one. And everybody listening can apply this to whatever you're doing, your work, you're involved in your church, involved in the school, involved in the community, all that good stuff. So the power of one. So if you stop to think for a minute, and the best example we give is water at 211 degrees, water simmers. And at 212, do I have that right? It boils at 212. Okay. Was not good in all the ology classes in school. But water boils at 212, it simmers at 211. So what's the value of that 1 degree, that one push, that one extra thing you'll do? So if you think about, it's Monday, so I'm sure you probably have your schedule work set for the week, goals you're gonna try to do, things you're gonna try to check off the list and get done. So think about that. Let's say you had 5 sales meetings you have set up this week. What would happen if you added a 6th, right? So just think about that. Do the math over a month, over 5 months, or 6 months, over a year. If you did just that one extra thing for your business or your nonprofit or anything else you're involved in, if you just did that one extra meeting, what could that lead to? I know a lot of us, especially starting new businesses, we have to cold call a lot, which is not a lot of fun. But if you set a goal, I would set a goal in the morning. I would just go knocking on doors, and it would only be a good stop if I got a contact name and number. Didn't really count if I walked in and dropped off information because that's not really a connection there. But if I could get somebody's name and number, who the decision maker is that I could then follow up with to see if they wanted my cleaning services or pest control services, 2 businesses my brother and I had. So I would get to 20, and then I would reward myself with a nice biggie sweet tea because you gotta have your incentives as you're going about. Do what?
Okay.
I know, you gotta. So you have to do that. But so what would happen if when I got to 20 before I bought that sweet tea, it's like, "You know what? There's one more business here. Let me stop here," because you never know. It's like all the meetings you've gone to, again, whether it's business, school related, work related, neighborhood related, just you never know who's coming in the door. So if you did that one extra thing, you made that one extra phone call, and with BNI, we do one-to-one. So that's where we would meet somebody either in their office. I work out of the house, so Panera's is kinda my office, so I'll meet somebody there, and I've got one scheduled on Wednesday that I met this gentleman at another BNI chapter who also does a podcast, and so we figured we'd sit and chat, see how we can help each other. But you just never know who's gonna walk in the room. I went to a BNI meeting this morning. I was filling in for Mary Stocks, who's been on the show before. And one of the guys I met there, we're talking, and he found out I was in pest control business. And he said, I need your card. I need you to come spray for mosquitoes for us. Just because I offered to help Mary sub for her, and I walk in. But the neat thing is, I also met an author. His name is William, and he's written some motivational books. I'm trying to get into that on some motivational speaking. And so I met him, and we're going to sit down and have a cup of coffee later on this week. How I can become a better writer of speeches to inspire people to realize you're way better than you think you are, which is kind of my pitch to people. And it's okay to be a late bloomer. I'm 57. I'm doing this, having a blast. All right. So 2 things I'm trying to get across to people is it's okay to be a late bloomer and you're way better than you think you are, because if I make you write down your goals on paper and or rather your achievements on paper, you're going to look at that and go, that's not too bad, but you won't brag about yourself in public. And I get that. So you never know who's going to come visit a chapter, who's going to come visit your church meeting, who's coming to work, if you are at school, at the neighborhood pool, all that stuff. So if you look at what's the one extra thing I can do, you help 2 people this week. How do I help a third? Can I get them something they're looking for? Can I help introduce them to somebody? All kinds of stuff like that. So that again, that's one of the neat things we like about BNI is it teaches us to do that one extra, which is the power of one. So think about that for the rest of your week. And granted, it's a little bit before lunch on Monday, so it's a good time to look at your schedule for the week. I try to block out certain parts of the week and leave a couple other, afternoons here or morning there open in case something comes up. But as you're looking through everything, even around the house, I do that too when I'm cleaning. I got a vacuum. My wife and I have that great relationship where she fixes everything, gas grills, ceiling fans, all that good stuff. And I do the laundry, clean up the kitchen, vacuum and clean and do stuff like that. So again, how good would your day be if you had 4 things to do and you decided, you know what, I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. Let me knock out this 5th thing. So then tomorrow when you wake up, it's one less thing to do and you just feel better about what you've done. So think about that as you're going through the week. One of the neat things, again, that BNI teaches us is the power of one, and also to help each other grow and basically help each other, passing referrals, grow our businesses as we help them grow theirs as well. So again, waiting on our guest, Patrick Griffin with 1-800 water damage, stuck in traffic on the Beltline because the rain caused a wreck. He should be here shortly, but we're going to talk about some tips when you go on vacation, what to turn off on your house, what to check on your house, turn off your water, turn off your power, things like that. He'll give some tips for. And if you, I know the water damage people love builders that put the hot water heater in the attic, because when it spills, where's the water going to go? It's going to go straight to the floor. We've heard stories of people coming back from vacation and 2-3 inches of water coming out the front door. So little tips like that. Do you have somebody to call? It's always good to have an emergency list of vendors that can help you if you've got an issue with your house. So we'll talk to Patrick about that coming up. He's in a good chapter, meets at Linwood Grill on Wednesdays at 11:30. So if you're ever out and about, if you like Linwood Grill in the back room there, they meet at 11:30. So we'll talk with Patrick about that as well. But again, we'd love for you to go to trianglebni.com and click on the Find a Chapter and drop down there and figure out where and when would be good times for you to go visit a chapter, go meet some people. Because like I said, these meetings are for visitors and you never know who's going to walk in the door. We tell stories all the time. Sheldon Galloway with Garden Environments, they do high-end hardscaping, and a landscaper. Hey, Patrick, come on in. Come on right around here. Landscaper came in one day and all he does is cut grass. And since that day, he has passed Sheldon about $500,000 worth of business. So you never know who's going to walk in the door. Slide up here real quick. And so who just walked in our door? Patrick Griffin with 1-800 water damage. Man, is there enough water on the Beltline for you?
Yeah.
Did you ever see the wreck?
I did.
Okay, because usually you get to the point you're like, wait, I've been sitting for an hour on this and it's all cleared and gone and everything.
Yeah, it was a little fender bender that probably could have moved to the side, but
Yeah.
it looked like everybody was all right.
All right. Well, glad to have you here today. Kinda to where I was talking about the power of one. If we did one extra thing, did one more one-to-one, one more phone call. I know you cold call enough, probably more than you'd like sometimes,
Mhm.
but I was saying earlier that back when I was doing cold calling, my goal was to do 20 get 20 names and numbers, and I'd buy myself a Biggie sweet tea.
Yeah.
But if what if I did that 21st? So we'll talk about that a little bit as well,
Okay.
because I know your sales and marketing and everything, with 1-800 water damage. Anyway, so let's get here. Patrick Griffin, 1-800 Water Damage of South Raleigh,
That's
right?
correct. Yep.
Okay, right. He's an account manager since 2016. This is a family-run business, which we will get into. Patrick is the president of RD23. They meet at Raleigh. They're the Raleigh Resource Group. They meet Wednesdays at 11:30 at Linwood Grill. You guys are up to 32 members.
That's right.
Impressive.
Oh, yeah.
I think that puts you 4th or 5th in Triangle BNI most members. But the last 9 months, it seems like you guys have added, what, 6 or 7 people?
I think we've had a few that, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
but all in all, maybe about a 8-member growth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know as president, I've inducted in about 8 people, so I've got that that speech down memorized.
You guys are about busting out of the seams there, aren't you?
We are. We
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
I know they take good care of you there. Good food. So if you
Yeah.
like Linwood Grill, please go visit Wednesdays at 11:30. All right. So 2019, we're kind of getting up on the halfway point. How's business for 1-800 water damage of South Raleigh?
It's good. Last year was a record year. We had a couple of things that helped out.
Yeah.
The first quarter with that deep freeze that a lot of folks may or may not remember. In our industry, we definitely remembered it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, but and then the hurricanes. I don't like theirs coming through our backyard, but and in fact, they really didn't come up here. But we had
Yeah.
a large loss last year that was almost like hurricane work, but the convenience of staying at home, that kind of thing.
How far out will you guys travel?
So we're 60-mile radius.
Okay.
So pretty much the whole triangle, Virginia border, Mebane,
Right.
Rocky Mount, Johnson County, Southern Johnson County, just to kind of name out a few quick points for you.
Okay.
But I like to say if we're slow, we'll go a little bit further.
Yeah. I hear you.
That kind of
Are
thing.
you guys allowed because you're a franchise, right?
Right.
Are you guys allowed to go if you get a call, you can go?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all about the marketing. The South Raleigh. If you saw on our website, that's just the territory
Yep.
that we own for
Yep.
marketing purposes. But any of our referral partners say, hey, I know someone that is over here, then we can hightail it out there and take care
Yeah.
of them. Yep.
So somebody from Greensboro calls, you
Sure.
guys are on your way,
Oh yeah.
right? How many people, how many staff you gotta have? Because sometimes my guess is there's nothing going on.
Mhm.
And then there's other times where everybody's everywhere, right? So how do you schedule a staff for an emergency?
Very carefully. Just it's controlled chaos. I mean, we always have somebody that's on call. So we always have someone that's ready to go. Nights, weekends, that kind of thing. During the day, I mean, we're just kind of on standby at any moment, that kind of thing. But yeah, if it's a situation where it's calling for an estimate, we get out there and we have a process where we send it into our office manager. From that point, she kind of sees what project managers, technicians are available that could go out there, scope it out. If not, Red Howard, the owner of our company,
Yeah.
he usually is one of the point men on doing that kind of thing. So yeah.
Okay. All right, we talk about this all the time in the show with Triangle BNI. Depending on the size of your group, there's either a 5-minute or a 10-minute speaker.
Mhm.
Think you guys are at 10 still? You go one a week?
10 minutes.
Okay,
Yep.
right. And each week the person is introduced by the member bio sheet. So that's how we do it here. So that's how we're
Okay.
gonna do it. Patrick Griffin, 1-800 water damage of South Raleigh. Profession is what do you guys call it? Restoration?
Restoration. Yeah.
Okay.
Restoration is
All right.
the best way to describe it. Mitigation.
Or when all heck breaks loose.
Pretty
Yes,
much. Pretty
okay.
much. Yep.
Location, where's the office? How long they been in business?
We are at 1129 Corporation Parkway. So that's pretty much New Bern Avenue, and 440 is the closest
Oh, yeah. Okay. Right.
intersection.
How long has the company been in business?
Coming up on 7 years in July.
Right. How'd you meet them?
So I'm from Hickory, North Carolina, western part of the
We're
state.
gonna get into that. Yep.
I know you'd mentioned family business. It's essentially a family business, but it's not. So a good friend of mine, Red Howard, he started the company, but we go all the way back to elementary school. We were in 4th grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
very cool.
4th grade, middle school, high school. We split ways. He went to App State. I went to UNC Greensboro. but our chief project manager, he's also from Hickory.
Okay.
So yeah, we like to call it almost like a family ran business, but it's just a lot of good friends,
Okay.
and so we're all kind of connected in that regard.
Oh, I should have called Red for stories and make a note to myself next time, research a little deeper. So, all right. So I've got a couple of, you've not been out of college that long. Let me just preface that by saying, so I have your work history
Right?
after college, but on this previous types of jobs, now we're going to high school here.
Uh-huh.
We're going to college, that memorable job. I'd love it if it was a 2-hour job and you realize it wasn't for you, but I know there's a good high school story about a job you have, right?
I
Or even before high school.
before that, so worked at a golf course growing up. That was probably, the pay wasn't the greatest, of course, but the benefits were, awesome. I love to play golf, and so when I was a freshman in high school, tried out for the golf team. So I like to think this is my Michael Jordan story because maybe one day I'll turn pro, but that's a long way to go. But yeah, I was one of the only few people to get cut from the golf team. So the coach said, "Go take a summer camp at the local golf course." And so I did, and they ended up being very impressed with how I handled myself, how I interacted with other folks, and they said, "Do you want to come on board and work?" So I did, and so I was the guy that drove the picker cart that
Oh, yeah.
picked up the golf balls that everybody would hit.
Try to hit. Yeah.
Yep,
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
So
Yep.
I got a lot of dents and dings in that thing, but yeah, really learned the game of golf. Shaved a lot of strokes off my game. In the process, met a lot of people. Really kind of developed a lot of social skills out there. Because that's just a great place to learn a lot of life lessons and really
Mhm.
mature as a person, as an athlete, that kind of thing. So
Did you go back to the golf coach, try out again?
I did, and I made it, and stayed with it. And I ended up playing a couple matches my sophomore year, my junior year. Uh, Became a consistent starter, and then by my senior year in high school, I was number 3 on the golf team behind one guy who was all state and one guy who was all region.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we had a strong team.
Alright.
But yeah, it was I think 2 teams out of each conference got to go to the state or
Yeah.
the playoffs.
Did you
So
guys make it?
we didn't, but there's 2 guys did as individuals
Okay.
and
Alright.
did very well.
What's your low round in high school?
Low round, I think, well, we played 9 holes, so 39 was my lowest, so 3 over.
Okay.
And it was on our rival high school's senior day, and we actually won that match. So I like to think we spoiled their senior day that day.
Who was your rival high school?
It was Hickory High.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah. So
What's your lowest round since then? Are you
um,
better or worse than in high school?
well, I was in my prime back then. Went to college and the priorities kind of shifted. I didn't play as much golf then. Got out of college and picked it back up.
Yeah.
And you really have to play on a consistent
Oh,
basis
yeah.
there. But I think I shot a 81 at Wilmar. So
Okay.
so that was like 10 over. Yeah,
That'll work.
yeah,
Alright.
10
Good
over.
deal. Personal section here about your family.
Okay.
Um,
I've got a wife, Nikki,
mhm.
and daughter, Harper, who's 5 years old, and a son who is 2 years old.
I was on your Facebook page the other day, and I saw a picture of the kids. You had taken them to one of the local breweries,
Okay.
and they were not happy. They were sitting on the floor, and they had to look on their face like, "You drug us here?"
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You do that often?
Not often.
Okay, alright.
And it was just, kind of a way to break up the day. They did the oyster roast
Okay,
at
yeah.
Compass Roast.
Alright.
Um,
That's where it was, Compass, yeah,
mhm,
okay,
and
alright.
it's pretty, family friendly kinda atmosphere. They've got a little corner where they've got, chalk where the kids can literally draw on the walls, and it's okay. So
Oh, good,
I'd rather
okay.
them do that there than at
Yeah,
my house.
I hear you.
So, and they have, like, candy where it's like $1 a scoop, so, they got some gummy bears. But, yeah, they, it was
That'll
funny.
work.
They look pretty miserable, but it's one of those live, pictures. If you hold on to it long enough, they actually start smiling a little bit. So they had a good time. And there's a lot of other kids running around there, so, it was just something to, kinda break up the day.
I always ask people on the show,
Mhm.
uh, how you met your spouse, and do you both tell the story the same way?
I would say, sir, that the story is the same. So, um, it was a, September night back in 2007, and, me and a gang of friends, we were hanging out watching college football during the day, and Yeah, the evening time came rolled around, and a buddy of mine who was actually dating one of my wife's friends at the time said, "Let's go over to Nikki's house. She's having a party because
Yep.
apparently they were going to go to Oktoberfest and it had sold out. So basically, she kind of had a impromptu party at her house, and we'll get together. So we all went to her house, hung out, that and, that night, we're kinda, talking. I think, Florida and Auburn were playing, and at that time, Florida was, the top dog. I think back, when Tebow was there, and so, Nikki, her granddad actually played at, University of Florida.
Okay.
So she's a, diehard Florida
Oh,
Gator
I
fan.
hate hearing that. Hate hearing that.
So she was getting into the game, and we were all just heckling her because my SEC team is Tennessee.
Yes.
Go Vols
We
there.
have talked about that,
Yep.
yes.
And so we kind of gave her a hard time, and because Auburn actually kicked a field goal to win the game at the end, and so the kicker was doing the Gator chomp, and we all started doing that, and so some playful
Yep.
banter there, and so um further conversation. She knew someone that it was one of my fraternity brothers, and then from that point we kind of headed off and went from there. But the next day, my friend who was dating one of her friends at a Carolina Panthers game, their relationship ended that day, and so I like to think that if we didn't run into each other that day, that it probably may have never occurred. So it was, I guess, it was fate.
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah,
I like the
yeah,
story.
no.
We are here with Patrick Griffin, 1-800 Water Damage of South Raleigh. He is president of RD23. They meet Wednesday mornings or actually lunchtime at Linwood Grill at 11:30. So please come out to Linwood Grill and check out Patrick's group. Hobbies and activities of interest.
Hobbies, obviously golf. Regular golf, disc golf. Like to play poker. Like the homebrew, but the homebrewing takes a lot of time. So
What do you make?
well, I'm very elementary. Whenever I probably did about 6 or 7 batches before we had kids, and that kind of took that away.
A
So
beer?
beer, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So did a pale ale, an amber, a Scotch, or wait, not like a Scottish ale, or no, it was an Oktoberfest. A Killian's Red type, like an
Mm,
Irish red.
yeah.
I'm trying to think what else did I do. Yeah, but it was like an American brewmaster kind of deal where it was just here's the kit, here's the instructions. So I followed it to a T. Didn't get creative or anything like that. So I'm nowhere near that level of expertise on the home brewing, but it was fun, to see how it all comes together.
So where do you buy all the ingredients and how long does it have to sit in the garage?
So the place that I would go to would be like American Brewmaster, or um let's see here. There's some other place. I think there's a place on Hillsborough Street, but I mean, you literally could probably just Google, um,
Okay.
uh,
Mhm.
home brewing, that kind
Okay.
of thing. But American Brewmaster, I think it's off of like Brentwood. That's where I used to go.
How'd the first batch taste? Do you remember?
It was a skunk. Yeah, but you know we trucked through it.
Soldiered on, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it got drink. So, but
Okay, yeah.
no, it's about 4 hours in the garage where you got a big pot. You're boiling it over an open flame. Basically we have like a deep fryer, like a one
Oh,
of those
okay.
for a turkey
Yeah.
deep fryer.
Oh, those are so good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Man, I
So
remember the first one I had.
it's a game
Yeah.
changer.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Big
never
time.
go back to a baked turkey.
No, no.
It's either fried or smoked. So
Oh,
that's
good, okay.
that's the only way I'll eat a
Alright.
turkey at Thanksgiving. So good
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, first fry oh, man.
Hmm.
Because the guy goes, "Trust me." And I'm like and I did because I knew him well. He goes, "Trust I got this one."
Oh yeah.
Oh, man, just melts off the oh gosh,
But
yeah,
it was a little nerve wracking the first time doing it, the deep fried turkey, because
yeah.
you hear all these people burning down their house and all that. But we read all the directions, all
Okay.
the the do's and don'ts and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, we use that kit. But going back to the beer, take about 4 hours to brew it, and
That's
then
not bad.
after that, once it's cooled down, you put it in like a 5 gallon bucket, and then you put it into a depending on the type of beer, it calls for different temperatures, but yeah, I would just put it in like my laundry room where there was a tile floor
Mhm.
just in case anything happened where it would spill over.
Yeah.
And this was pre 1-800 Water Damage days, so I guess I had a nose for
Yeah.
disasters.
I
But,
gotta I gotta figure out how to make vodka in my garage. I'm sure it's not difficult, but that's what yeah, I'm not a so I go to all these events, they give you complimentary beer and wine, and I don't drink either. So it's like,
mhm,
man, come on. Can we not have an open vodka bar or a Captain Morgan bar one day?
right.
Nowhere do I go that gets that. So
There's plenty of, everybody's familiar with that, but with the craft beer, craft
yeah.
beer explosion, that's,
Oh gosh.
yeah,
It's
it's
that's amazing what's taken off here. I
oh,
think
yeah,
North Carolina's what, 2nd or 3rd in the country as far as most craft breweries in the state.
mhm,
Unreal. I
oh, yeah,
mean, it's blown up. So
oh, yeah,
which is if you're a beer drinker. I mean, my oldest son, he and his wife love those. And so
mm,
they go and sure they're in Charlotte, but they go check out new ones all the time.
oh, yeah.
Oh well. City of residence. How long you guys been here?
City residents, yeah, live in Wake Forest.
Good.
We, bought a house there in, 2012, and, yeah, it's been a great area. It's, growing like crazy,
Oh
a
yeah.
little too fast.
What's about one of the only places to grow is out that way or Fuquay and Holly Springs and that way.
Mhm,
So
on the outskirts.
all right. So you're always driving then somewhere.
Oh, yeah,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. You get traffic. That traffic on Capitol going in and out of there in the mornings
Yeah,
can be
shame on me, I should have, erred on the side of caution there. Yeah. Yeah, because when it rains, it's, all bets are off.
you may as well stop somewhere and just yeah, have a beer. Just
Mm.
wait it out.
Oh,
So
yeah. Depending on what time it is.
that's true. That is true. Yeah. Your burning desire is to what?
Burning desire, I've said this for a long time, so my wife and I, we got a, present from my, sister-in-law and her husband. It was Financial Peace University,
Oh,
kit.
Ramsey stuff. Good.
Dave Ramsey, yeah.
Yep.
So, burning desires to become debt free. So we've moved the needle very well. Really, right before our daughter started daycare, we had all of our I like to call it dumb debt taken care
Yeah.
of. So credit cards, student loans, any kind of Best Buy cards or whatever, stuff like that. I had that knocked out, and then as soon as our daughter went to daycare, basically the cost of daycare was the exact same amount of money. I mean,
Mhm.
dollar for dollar, it's crazy of the amount that we had paid off. So it's kind of like if that wouldn't have happened, financial struggles are hard. So that's something that has been a really good foundation for my wife and I that
Yep.
we we've stayed the course, and I mean we're constantly looking at the numbers and all that good stuff. So burning desire is to be debt free one day, and it's just something that we keep focus on.
All right, so we need everybody to call 1-800 Water Damage of South Raleigh, get you some business and get out so you can stay debt free. So we
That's
like
that's
what's
right.
phone number? What's best phone number for them to call?
Our office number is 919-805-3171.
Okay.
And my cell phone is 828-455-6991.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. We'll make sure we get some people calling because I was telling everybody
Mm.
um before you got here was that they should have an emergency number to call should they come home from vacation and any of that happens. So
Absolutely.
but and we'll get into that as well as soon as we're done here. Key to your success.
Key to success. As a salesperson, I like to say that you have two ears and one mouth, so listen twice as much as you talk.
That is so hard for me to do. So hard
Oh
to
yeah.
but you're right, though, because you gotta find out what the customer needs
Mhm.
instead of telling them, "No, we got this package." And they go, "But I don't need everything in there. I just" yeah, so I
Exactly.
like that. Alright, so, some of the people on the show haven't gotten to know you quite yet, but they will in the next half hour, so tell them something no one knows about
I have been thinking long and hard about this because
you.
with the 10-minute presentations, coming up on 3 years in BNI, so I feel like I've said a few things that folks have gained to know about me. But when I was in college, I was a political science major, and I had a fraternity brother who had done this internship before me, and that's how I found out about it. But it was a, statewide um, opportunity. Basically, they would have 13 interns for the North Carolina General Assembly. So if you got selected, you would be an aide for a state
Oh,
senator.
cool. Okay.
So I was a finalist. So I was among the 25, and unfortunately, I didn't make the cut, but I was pretty close to serving for a state senator.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Man, first the golf team, then the North Carolina legislature.
Yep.
Man,
Yep.
you got good things coming. You got all that out of the way, so good things are coming. I back in '76 was a governor's page.
Okay.
Yeah. First time I put on a coat and tie. That wasn't a lot of fun, but it was cool being down there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, those are fun. The first time you literally ever heard BNI, where were you and who spouted at you?
First day on the job. So,
At 1-800?
at 1-800
1-800,
Water Damage.
okay.
Correct. So Red Howard, he's been in BNI for a while. I think about 6.5 years.
Okay.
We used to have a former counterpart of mine. She was a sales rep as well, Michelle Ward. And then she got married, Michelle Mills. She was part of the
Okay.
full city business leaders. But first day on the job, she uh, took me to I think it was the Prophets in the Park
Yeah.
that meets on Tuesdays.
Mhm. Good.
And so that was my first experience, and I just didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was
Mhm.
going on there, and it was quite an experience. And I wasn't 100% on board with it because I have come from a purely transactional background of sales where it's call, quote, close, ask for the business ABC. If you can't get them right then and there, you're making follow up calls, that kind of thing. So no relationship building. It's just purely just like I said, the transactional. So networking was very uh, you know the furthest thing.
It's new to most people in BNI.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I was really hesitant and reluctant to coming from that transactional background. So we actually went to another BNI that day. We went from there to Huey's in Mebane
Okay.
or Hillsborough,
Oh, yeah.
right there
Yep.
on the line. But that group it was a little bit smaller, and it was a lunch group. It was a little bit more laid back, and I mean, believe it or not, going from one meeting to another, it kind of was eye opening. It was like, okay, the first one it was a little bit more. I mean, they're all structured in the way
Mhm.
that they're supposed to be, but just the feeling,
Yep.
the members, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So right off the bat, I could tell the difference between chapters.
Mhm. That's why you go visit. We tell people all the time.
Absolutely. So, day one on the job, um, and so, being new into the job, new into everything, Red actually put me into a leads group that he used to be part of years ago, and I tried that out for 6 months or so,
Yeah.
and it really just it didn't work out. I just didn't feel like it was where they were as far as the professionalism of networking, the leads generated, that kind of thing, just everything that
Yep.
you got out of it. So I started visiting in December, well, probably October of 2016,
Okay.
and I probably visited, I don't know,
Good.
10 or 11 chapters.
Good.
I like to say that I shop BNI harder than I shop my car, my house, because I say, well, this is the stuff that's going to pay for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I tell people that I meet when they're visiting BNI chapters is just take a minute and think of yourself as the five-star recruit.
Hmm.
You go visit everything you want to because you gotta
Yeah.
wanna wake up in the morning every Wednesday now for you. I can't wait to see my group
Hmm.
because I equate it to 5th period biology in high school.
Oh, yeah.
I hated it, and I never wanted to go, and I didn't wanna wake up every Thursday morning or whatever. Oh god, that B&I group again or that
Hmm.
whatever group. So but that's why I tell people is go find the one that you fit best in.
And exactly, and, I went to some morning groups and, coming from Wake Forest, the traffic was a nightmare. I'm like, I need to minimize stress in my life,
Yeah.
so, a lunchtime group really was, a really good fit.
Yeah.
So, it's good that, there are options for, all types of
Yeah.
folks.
Was 23 the first one you joined?
It's the first and only one I've
Okay.
ever joined and been a
Alright,
part
well,
of.
good.
Yep.
And what was it about that group they told you, "Okay, this is my home"?
There was a good amount of trades folks that
Yep.
were in there.
Oh, yeah.
General contractor,
Mhm.
John Devlin, Blue Ribbon,
Huge, yep.
Heath Cotton with Flooring by Design. He was in there. Really strong realtor that whenever you're up there doing the testimonials part, that as a visitor was very powerful because she's handing out.
Ricky.
Well, at the time it was
Oh,
Samara.
Samara, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean handing out 10, 12
Oh, yeah,
referrals. I'm like,
yeah,
whoa, I'd like to be part of that,
yep.
that kind of thing. So and just the fact that during the I have portion of the meeting, several members just looked at me and said, "We'd love to have a water restoration
Mhm.
company in here because we feel like we can pass a lot of business
Oh,
where
yeah.
a lot of other chapters actually didn't really do that, and they were pretty solid on following up. So that kind of stuff's important to if you're trying to grow your chapter and bring in new people is to just simply say, hey, your profession would be huge because we could pass a lot of business to to your
Yeah.
professional or that follow up.
Yep.
So
And Ricky's been on the show. Curtis Webster from your chapter's been on the show. I got Devlin booked, I think like first or second week of June,
mhm.
anyways, because he's got some good stories. Uh, do you looking back at 2018, is there a percentage of sales that you could track back to not only your chapter, but BNI? Because I know you go visit quite a few chapters.
Oh, yeah.
You and I saw each other back to back days last week. So,
Yep.
that's what I love about BNI,
uh Yeah.
reconnect with people. But
And
is there a percentage roughly you could say?
I should have crunched some numbers going in. Roughly, I mean, I think my first year in BNI, which is the toughest,
Mhm.
it was probably in the 10 percentile
Okay.
range. The next year, I think it went up to maybe like 15,
Mhm.
and then I could say maybe this year, 25 to 30%.
Yeah.
So it's definitely on a upward trend.
Yeah, and that's about the international average that we found is your BNI chapter should be about 25% of your bottom line, which I tell people, if somebody tells you there's one place each week you can go and get about a quarter of your business, man, why would you not work that group hard?
Right.
But also BNI has to be part of your marketing and sales plan. Very few people, well, you get to the point, some people, they've built their business so big that they're just referrals, but for you and for I, especially when we're young and hungry and all that,
Mhm.
it's a part of your sales and marketing plan, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I utilize trianglebni.com religiously. I mean, going on there looking at professions that may have an opening.
Uh-huh.
Actually, a little success story. Uh, January of this year, I think it was the first Thursday in January when most folks are knocking the cobwebs off from New Year's and kind of getting off to a sluggish start. I was working from home that day and I got on trianglebni.com and I was like, well, what's going on today? It was Thursday lunchtime group at Red Hot and Blue, and I noticed that the realtor seat was open. So I immediately, I mean, the meeting was going to start in like 30 minutes. So I literally hightailed it from Wake Forest down to
You
Red.
made it
I
there.
got it there
Well done.
right in time. So got there, and there were 15 realtors in the room, and made 15 connections with those realtors that day,
Yep.
just because showing up to that meeting. But we actually connected with Becky Hiller and her husband Carl. They were there, and I invited them to our chapter, and they said, "Well, we live right around the corner. We work right around the corner. The lunchtime group where you guys meet, everybody that's there is a real good fit." And they ended up putting an application in our chapter, and we were able to recruit because of that effort. So
What seat?
the property management.
Oh, very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
But that's again the beauty of BNI. You never know who's going to walk in the door.
exactly.
Just like in life, you should show up because you'd never know who's going to walk in the door. I
Hmm.
love those stories.
Hmm.
Let's talk about all the people watching, listening, and everything, just consumers in general. Most of us, when we go on vacation, we have no plan for the house. We're just, hey, let's pack up the car, make sure we do this, do that. And
Hmm.
what should a homeowner or a renter do when they're getting ready to go on 3 day, 4 day, 5 day vacation?
Definitely leave your AC running, because if anything were to happen, that humidity is a contributor to mold growth, that kind of thing. If
Mm.
if a water damage situation were to occur, so between those two things, so yeah, a first turn off your water. So if you can't do it within your house, you could actually go to the street
Mhm.
and cut it off at the street. So if you don't know where your main water supply line is in the house, then you could always go to the street and cut it off there.
And there's always one in the house and one at the street, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Now the city, from what I gather, they frown upon that kind of thing, but um, you know, I would definitely try to do within the house if you can try to find
Okay.
that. And if you're watching and you don't know where it is, give us a call and we'll be more than happy to come out there and help you find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you have stories, I was talking about this earlier before you got here, of people that come home from vacation and they open the front door, here comes 4 inches of water just
Oh yeah.
flooding out.
Um, One of the first projects or jobs that I was able to secure was from a plumber that I had met from cold calling, and the folks were out of town. They had a house sitter. The house sitter went to dinner that night, and it occurred whenever the house sitter was at dinner. So yeah, it can happen at any moment, at any time. But, yeah, I mean, but kind going back to, cutting your water off, you cut your water off, you're controlling the controllables and making sure that, you can't have a water damage,
Mhm.
water loss while you're, away and out of town, that kinda thing.
What other things leave the AC running, turn the
Mhm.
water off. What other kind of things can they help do to, I guess, protect the house is what they're doing, but what other kind of tips would you give them?
I mean, cutting the water off is, I think, a big, fail safe. That, I mean, if you don't want to do that, I mean, you could go to as many points as possible. Cutting the water supply line off the toilets. Cutting the water supply lines off at the the washing machine.
Okay.
The dishwasher. If you can, you got to pull that out. The refrigerator and all that. That's why I'm just kind of thinking that it's easier to go to one point,
The main,
the
yeah.
main point.
Yeah.
But you know I mean, if you're, on a concrete slab, a lot of times, the damage is very minimal if you're on a concrete slab. So, the things on the second floor, if you have a toilet up there, cutting that off, cutting the water lines at the washing machine upstairs,
Okay.
you know, because that's going to minimize it at least.
Yeah.
So, that's a couple of tips real quick.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And we are getting ready we're mid-May, which means June, which means hurricane season starts.
Mhm.
Generally, the heavier stuff doesn't come till later in the year. What kind of things when you know a hurricane's coming or heavy water's coming, any kind of tips on saving the house or protecting the house? Because we always talk about, weather stripping around the
Mhm.
doors and things like that, but, you guys you're only getting called if something coming through the roof or the window, right?
Mm.
Let's talk about back patio.
Right.
Secure your chairs, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
window pick them up, but I've heard those stories before, pick them up and blow them through the window.
Oh yeah, yeah. For the most part, I mean, you need to do that preventative maintenance as quick as possible. Because I mean, whenever the storm's coming, I mean, your sandbags are only going to do so much. So
Yeah,
yeah. But you can't go wrong with having just as much bottled water in the house. Because I know last year, whenever Florence was coming in, I mean, I was out scrambling at 3, 4 in the morning trying
yeah,
to get
boy.
water. So this time of year, it can't hurt just to have as much bottled water in the house, that kind of thing. Canned goods, stock up on a couple of things, propane, there's kind of things. But I mean, Mother Nature
No,
is a strong force to be
yeah,
reckoned with. So there's really not a lot that you can do. I mean, the land is graded in a certain way to where the water's going to flow away for to a certain degree. So there's not really much that you can do in that type of situation. It's just hope for the best.
I was mentioning earlier that you guys love the home builders that put the hot water heater in the attic because there's nowhere for the water to go but down, and then you get a phone call.
Yeah, I like to joke that the general contractors are in cahoots with water damage companies, or they built those houses like that and then they turned into water damage companies, water restoration companies. But yeah, I've tried to ask, and apparently it's just a quick, easy,
Mhm,
less it's a cost effective way for contractors
yeah.
just to kind of get that out of the way, that kind of thing.
When you joined 1-800 Water Damage, did you become an instant weather watcher?
Um, I did a lot of out of the box thinking. I don't know if I was a huge weather watcher per se, but I definitely got on as many groups as possible to where someone's reaching out for, hey, I've got mold, or I've got water damage in the house, that kind of thing. So definitely being vigilant
Yeah,
for those type of situations. But you know whenever I first got started in the business, I would reach out to folks that, whenever they would, post that, and really didn't get a lot of success. But whenever, I found with BNI, you have, an army of salespeople that are, jumping on those groups
yeah.
and saying, hey, Patrick at 1-800 Water Damage, give them a call, second done, whatever kind of words that, folks usually put out there. But, a lot of times, I don't ask for folks to, give us referrals just, or I'm sorry, reviews, just to give us reviews. If we've worked with you in our BNI group, then I say, well, hey, if you could, share what your thoughts and feedback, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
We know water damage, we've talked about that. Mold, they can also call you if they find mold.
Mhm.
What else can they call you guys for?
Sewage removal.
Ooh,
Yeah. So all the
are you checked out on that?
all the fun stuff. am I checked out on that?
Have you done that before?
I have, been part of a what we, call a Cat 3 loss, so I've been part of a
Ooh,
where I was the I was actually the technician that did it all, and
okay.
that's the thing about our company, like I said, we have 7 employees, and if it gets down to, what I like to say, uh,
Yes.
skeleton crew or,
Yeah.
all hands on deck, I'm actually, WRT certified with, IICRC. I've probably done 20 something jobs in my career where it was actually approved, paid out. So anybody can do the jobs, but did you do it right? Did
Yeah.
was your insurance satisfied with the work? So that 20 for 20. So
And glad you brought that up. As far as insurance or calling the insurance company, I know with auto insurance, I've been told by people who've been on the show before, don't call in a claim yet.
right.
Call your local rep to figure out, hey, this is what happened. Here's this
Mhm.
because a zero claim is as bad as a claim
Right.
when you call and turns out nothing was going on.
Mhm.
So somebody comes home, water, they see water in their den.
Mhm.
They call you first, and then you guys deal with the insurance company, or do they do both calls?
Correct. So, yeah, we say the exact same thing. Call us right off the bat. We'll come out there, assess the situation,
Yeah.
um, provide a free estimate if need be. Or if we get out there and it's like, okay, yeah, it's going to be pretty substantial, especially whenever they say what their deductible is. We can compare it to
Okay.
the amount of the damage.
Yep.
So I like to say we quantify the damage that way they can make an educated decision on how to proceed. But I mean, if you have 300 gallons of water in your house, I mean
Yeah. Yeah.
that's going to be a claim worthy situation
Yeah.
all day long.
But I didn't know that about the zero claim. So always be careful. Let me make sure I say this right. Be careful calling your insurance company
Mhm.
because if you call and there's no claim to make, then it's a zero claim, but they're still going to count it against you for calling in to make a claim. Is that correct?
Um, I would say that every carrier is different, but for the most part, that's what we've experienced with other insurance companies, and they say that that's a common
Yeah.
common occurrence whenever you were to call. A lot of times when an adjuster comes out or gets assigned, then from that point they
Yeah.
they open up a claim. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
if if you hit the claim, if you hit the panic button and file a claim, and then it turns out it's nothing, then
Yeah.
it's kind of like a strike.
Okay.
It's like a strike against you,
Yep.
so to speak.
Yep. And we love to educate on the show. So that's why we bring people on like this.
Right.
We're with Patrick Griffin, 1-800 Water Damage of South Raleigh. I love the research portion of this show because I just Google and I've come up with some good stuff. Unfortunately, with you, my friend, not much. Although I did find out that on was it Chicago SVU,
Mhm.
uh, Anthony Edwards' show name is Patrick Griffin.
Oh yeah.
So that came up. So if you Top Gun fan,
Uh huh.
Goose, Anthony. So anyway,
Yeah.
that came up. One of your favorite movies is one of my favorite movies, and it goes back to sales. Glengarry Glen Ross.
Nice. No.
Always be 2 best lines out of there. Always be closing, and coffee is for closers.
Yep.
I love that. So, how do you apply that? Just, I mean, we like to laugh about a lot of things here, but I know because that movie is all about it. If you've never seen Glengarry Glen Ross,
Mhm.
outstanding movie about how ruthless the sales world is.
Absolutely. So, I used to be a mortgage broker back in the day, and I was part of a company that was a large subprime lender, and that movie and that work environment were like
Oh
hand in hand.
gosh. Yeah.
And I'd never heard of the movie or seen it before, and we were at down in Florida for training, and one of my coworkers he popped it in. We all watched it, and at
Yeah.
that moment I was hooked. But I mean, yeah, always be closing. I mean, there's always a situation, whether it's for you or for anybody within your chapter. Like I said, you're listening
Yep.
twice versus talking. I don't know how many times I'm in the homeowner's house getting our paperwork signed, getting filled out. A lot of times, I see an area code on the phone, and like if it's a 910, I'm saying, "Oh, are you from the Wilmington area?"
Yeah.
Um, there was a situation where I was in that particular situation, lady was from Wilmington. I said, "Well, who's your insurance carrier?" And she said, "Horace Mann." Well, I know a insurance agent down there. Went to school with, and she said, "Is it Brent?" I'm like, "Yeah." So long story short, her insurance agent and I, we were fraternity brothers in the same chapter.
Too
So,
funny.
yep.
Okay.
But just looking for those type of situations where
Yeah.
you're getting folks talking and getting inching closer to that sales opportunity.
Mhm.
Yeah. So literally, it's if I didn't say 2 years, one mouth, yeah, ABC would definitely be the
Yeah.
key to success.
And it's that fine line of shoving something down somebody's throat or listening and
Mhm.
getting them to that point where they go, "I think I need your services because I can't be that hard ass sales guy.
Right.
Just because I don't want to be it done to me."
Well, going from transactional world to
Mhm.
I'm sorry, to relationship
Yep.
sales, you don't have to be that pushy, hard sell.
Yeah.
With the relationship sales, you've earned their trust. You've earned the right to be there.
Yep.
So just really educating and just kind of being as personable as possible, and just being diligent and following up, that kind of
Mhm.
thing. A lot of times can earn you the business, but
I
yeah,
agree.
I would say that this world is a lot more user friendly than
Yeah.
the transactional, 50 calls a day kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And we talk about that every week on the show with BNI. It's like, know, and trust.
Mhm.
They get to know you, they like you, they trust you. They're gonna go, you just call Patrick. He'll he'll answer your questions or take care of that for you. But again, we get back to people when they're going on vacation. Have a have somebody's number to call if you come home.
Mhm.
Or your neighbor calls you and go, "Hey, Mike, your house is flooded. Do you know anybody?" Said, I
Absolutely.
get the number there. So
Absolutely. Having someone to watch the house,
yeah.
just, eyes and ears,
Oh yeah.
that's a good fail-safe as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, again, going back to the research, I always like to look for connections on just hear stories because this show's built on stories.
Mhm.
You were in Kappa Delta Rho fraternity.
Correct.
What did that do to shape your relationship building and sales now that you're out in the real world?
Well, going even further back before that, so, a little funny story, had pretty good grades in high school, extracurricular activity was pretty good, played soccer and high school golf, and I was in the beta club for a couple of days, and
Mm.
then they ran the grades, and I got kicked out. Mom gives me a blank check to, go take my SATs, and I, decided, "Well, I'm not gonna take my SATs today," so I go and I go play golf with that blank check.
Nice.
So, this was in the fall, and I had to wait until the spring. So, I took my SATs in the spring and, the numbers weren't as good as they needed to be, so
Been there. Yep. Yep.
applied to App State where all my friends went to and, got waitlisted. So I kinda, was like, "Well, do I go to community college for a semester or do I look elsewhere?" I
Yeah.
looked elsewhere, applied to, UNC Greensboro, and I swear within, like, 2 or 3 days of applying, they came back and,
Yeah.
they were just probably so ecstatic to, get, new applicants that time of year,
Yeah.
and, I got an acceptance letter, like, 3 days after I applied. I was like, "Okay, well, I'm going here." Never step foot on campus, didn't know anybody from Adam. So get there and, a couple days, on campus. I look into club soccer and you're running around campus. It's 80, 85 degrees, and I'm just kind of like, is this really what I want my college experience to be? Do I want to continue to or do I want to pursue other avenues?
Yeah.
So at the same time, I had met a couple of the guys that were in the fraternity, and came out for Rush, did that, and at the time, I guess they had like a loophole, and normally first semester freshmen aren't allowed to pledge. So with that loophole, first semester freshman, I pledged, got in, loved it, and I never really thought about
Yeah.
applying to App State, going back because, like I said, all my friends were there, and I'm just kind of starting a brand new chapter. But yeah, I believe it or not, I was a bit of an introvert before going off to college.
No.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
shocked to hear
yeah,
that.
yeah. So I had to come out of my shell and really
Yep.
create my own network and my own friends and all that good stuff, and just really excelled. And my dad actually came down to a homecoming party at our fraternity house, and he was passing through and he couldn't believe how many people were like, "Oh, they called me Griff."
Yep.
That was my nickname
Yeah.
in high school and college, and they were like, "Oh, you're Griff's dad," and he was like, "Yeah, this is like a celebrity here." Yeah. So, so the fraternity. I mean, I got immediately onto I think I was like either the pledge class VP. I wasn't the president, but I was I was up there.
Mhm.
So I did that, and then after I became a brother, I got involved with IFC and a fraternity council.
Yep.
I think I was part of the judicial board. I was actually involved with kicking one of our rival fraternities off campus for a semester. So that was you know so I was looking over my shoulder
Oh,
for a
yes.
while there,
Yeah.
but did that, and then became a secretary of the fraternity, and then eventually vice president, and never worked out to become the president, but I ended up being the interfraternity council president for 2 years
Oh,
or
nice. Okay.
two terms. And I like to think that I was at that point the only person to ever be a two-term president, and I like to think that I still am, because I mean, a lot of people, once they get into that, they're like,
Yeah.
once was enough. But the first time was an interim term, so it was only for like a
Okay.
semester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
you still have those connections today, don't you? It's like
oh yeah.
your fraternity brother down. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's groups like that. I mean, different places, different organizations.
Hmm.
It builds. It shows you the value of teamwork, and
Okay.
and I've talked ad nauseum about this. Just playing sports,
Hmm.
just learning teamwork and how to win and how to lose, and you make friends and all that stuff. I know fraternities
Oh yeah.
are that way as well for a lot of people.
Building trust,
Yep. Oh yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's another note on here I'd love to get to was Model UN.
Hmm.
Did you enjoy that? And
Uh,
what country were you or who were you representing?
I can't remember what country. I think maybe Egypt, or
Okay.
I know we were part of the group that for the Mid East.
Okay.
So it
Alright.
was kind of a volatile type conversation there. But yeah, political science, it was out there.
Yeah.
Honestly, I probably just signed up because
Some girl did.
no,
Eh,
uh, maybe,
eh.
but it was a free trip down to South Mountain, Georgia.
Oh, nice.
So, at a real nice, I think it was like Evergreen Resort or
Okay.
something like that.
Dang,
But it was
you're
like,
thinking.
if you saw our fraternity house, you would want to get out of it. You'd want to get
Yeah.
away for a weekend as much as possible.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I've heard stories.
oh yeah.
I always felt bad for the little sisters. Wait, I gotta clean up what? It's like, oh, man.
As a pledge,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So again, maybe that led me to be part of restoration,
There you go.
seeing the horror stories.
I like that. Hadn't thought about that connection, but
Uh,
that's good. Real quick here to finish up, your goal for the rest of 2019 to help your chapter. How do you as Patrick help your chapter?
my How do I help our chapter?
What are some of the things any new things you're gonna work on, trying to do, power teams, more involved, all that good stuff?
So we've been implementing leadership meetings
Good.
once a month, where the leadership team gets together. We talk about things that are going on, that we can work with, that we can improve, get better on, what's working, what's not working. Um, we have weekly calls or biweekly calls with Whitney Hill, our chapter consultant, and he gives us good feedback, things that we should implement. So good collaboration with inside and outside the chapter. But I mean, really, I mean, we're pretty happy with everything that's going on with the chapter. Um, I'd say, probably the biggest thing that could help everybody is, just, utilizing, the app, the BNI app,
Yep.
BNI Connect. That would be a big thing that we could make the chapter
Mm.
improve. That way, we're working on all cylinders. That way, we can report, real hard, accurate numbers.
Yep.
Because that's a recruiting tool.
Oh, huge, yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are on a nice run. I wish you best of luck with the rest of 2019. If you have any water damage or mold issues, please give Patrick a call, 1-800 Water Damage of South Raleigh, and look forward to seeing you next week on Triangle BNI. That's how easy it is, man.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.